What happens when love, trust, and second chances collide in the most unexpected way. For years, fans of Little People, Big World have watched Amy Roloff rebuild her life after the collapse of her decades-long marriage to Matt. It wasn't easy. Her journey was marked with heartbreak, loneliness, and the daunting task of starting over in the spotlight. But just when it seemed Amy had found her happily ever after with Chris Marek, a moment unfolded that fans are calling unforgivable. A shocking betrayal that didn't come from her past. It came from the very man who was supposed to help her heal. In tonight's deep dive, we'll uncover the emotional scars left behind by Amy's first marriage, how Chris became her anchor during some of her darkest days, and finally, the stunning revelation, what Chris said, that has left viewers shaken, questioning everything they thought they knew about their relationship. This isn't just another reality TV twist. This is the kind of betrayal that changes everything. When Amy Roloff walked away from her marriage to Matt, it wasn't just the end of a relationship, it was the closing of a chapter that had defined decades of her life. For years, fans had watched the cracks form between Amy and Matt on Little People, Big World. What began as small disagreements over family matters and the farm slowly grew into undeniable tension. By the time the divorce was finalized in 2016, Amy was left trying to rebuild her identity, not just as a mother and grandmother, but as a woman rediscovering who she was outside of her long marriage. The aftermath wasn't easy. Viewers often saw Amy grappling with loneliness, frustration, and a sense of betrayal as she adjusted to life without Matt. At the same time, she leaned heavily on her children and her circle of friends. Fans at home sympathized with her struggles and rooted for her to find happiness again. They wanted to see Amy smile, to watch her thrive after so many years of emotional strain. And then came Chris Marek. At first, his presence in Amy's life was met with skepticism, not just from the public, but even from Amy herself. She admitted she never thought she'd find love again, let alone with someone so different from her ex-husband. But slowly, Chris became more than just a new face in Amy's world. He became her companion, her cheerleader, and her anchor. What set Chris apart was his patience. He didn't try to erase Amy's past or pretend her wounds weren't real. Instead, he listened, supported, and encouraged her to embrace her independence while also opening her heart again. Fans saw a softer, happier Amy when Chris was around, an Amy who laughed more freely and seemed more confident in herself. Over time, their relationship evolved from cautious companionship to genuine love. Chris didn't just stand by Amy, he helped her heal. Whether it was joining her at family gatherings, traveling together, or simply spending quiet moments away from the cameras, his presence reminded Amy that love after heartbreak was possible. For viewers, it felt like witnessing a second chance. Many expressed how uplifting it was to see Amy find joy again, especially after the stormy years of her marriage ending. The narrative shifted. Instead of focusing on the pain of the past, fans began celebrating the new chapter Amy was writing, with Chris firmly by her side. Behind the cameras, Zach and Tori's relationship painted a much more complicated picture than the one fans were used to seeing on Little People, Big World. On the surface, they often shared adorable family snapshots, sweet moments with their kids, birthday parties, holiday gatherings, and lighthearted posts that made their marriage appear unshakable. To many viewers, they were the ultimate proof that love could endure under the pressure of reality TV. But those closest to the Roloffs began to notice cracks in the foundation. The same spotlight that elevated them also magnified every disagreement, every misstep, and every unspoken frustration. Private struggles soon began seeping into the public eye, and fans, always quick to analyze, noticed when something seemed off. A missing smile in a photo, a caption that felt forced, a family outing where Zach appeared distant. Public perception remained largely positive, but whispers grew louder. Were they really as happy as they appeared online? Could the sweet family traditions they shared be masking deeper issues at home? The tension between public image and private reality created a constant balancing act for the couple. For Zach and Tori, the challenge was not just being husband and wife, but being husband and wife in the spotlight. Every decision they made, whether it was about their kids, their home, or their future, was subject to commentary and judgment from fans and critics alike. That weight can either bring a couple closer together or slowly push them apart. As their lives played out on screen and on social media, the strain of living under constant observation became clearer. What once felt like a fairy tale love story was starting to look, to some fans, like a storybook with torn pages, still beautiful in parts, but fragile at the seams. The moment that fans are still talking about didn't happen in some heated argument on social media or in a carefully edited TLC scene. It happened behind closed doors, and yet, whispers of it have spread like wildfire. According to insiders close to the Roloff family, Chris said something to Amy that left her completely shaken. A few words, but words that cut deep. What exactly did he say? Reports claim that during a tense discussion about Amy's past with Matt, Chris allegedly told her to get over it already and accused her of living too much in the shadow of her first marriage. To an outsider, this might sound like frustration or even tough love. But for Amy, who spent nearly 3 decades building a life with Matt, only to feel betrayed when that marriage collapsed, those words felt like a dismissal of her pain, her history, and everything she had endured. Fans were stunned when the story came out. Many felt Chris had crossed an invisible line. Amy's divorce from Matt wasn't just another chapter, it was a defining wound. To tell her to move on wasn't just insensitive, it was a betrayal of the support and understanding she thought she had finally found in her second chance at love. Why did these words hit so hard? Because for Amy, Chris was supposed to be the safe space, the one person who saw her not as Matt's ex-wife, but as Amy Roloff, the woman, the mother, the survivor. By allegedly telling her to get over it, Chris echoed the same criticism Amy had battled for years, from fans, tabloids, and even Matt himself. It struck a painful chord, reopening old scars and forcing her to wonder if Chris truly understood the depth of her journey. For many fans, this was the turning point. The fairy tale of Amy finally finding her forever partner suddenly seemed fragile. Was Chris really the supportive, patient man viewers thought he was, or had cracks begun to form in their love story too? As the conversation shifted from Amy and Chris's personal struggles to the bigger picture, fans couldn't help but ask, how much of this was real, and how much was carefully crafted for television? Over the years, Little People, Big World has built its reputation on showing the Roloff family's raw, unfiltered lives. But many longtime viewers have raised eyebrows at just how perfectly timed certain conflicts seem to be. Was Amy's heartbreak and Chris's so-called betrayal just another storyline that TLC producers leaned into for ratings? Several former cast members and insiders have spoken up about the pressures of reality TV. Some hinted that arguments were exaggerated, while others claimed that producers often nudged conversations in certain directions. Not outright scripts, but careful setups that created tension where there might have been none. In that light, Chris's Unforgivable words may have been amplified by editing choices designed to shock and keep audiences glued to the screen. Even within the Roloff family, there's been speculation about how much of their private pain was turned into entertainment. Zach and Tori have previously admitted they struggled with how much of their marriage should be public. Audrey and Jeremy chose to step away from the cameras completely, partly because they wanted to control their own narrative. So the question remains, was this betrayal truly as devastating as it appeared, or was it another moment where TLC blurred the line between real heartbreak and high-stakes drama? For fans, it's nearly impossible to tell where reality ends and the show's editing begins. But one thing is clear, TLC knows how to keep viewers talking, and this storyline has done exactly that. Amy Roloff's journey has been one of resilience, heartbreak, and reinvention. From the pain of her divorce with Matt to the fresh wounds of Chris's alleged betrayal, fans have watched her navigate love in the public eye with courage, but also with scars that never fully healed. Her story reminds us that behind the laughter, the farm traditions, and the cameras, there is a woman who has given her heart more than once, only to face the sting of disappointment. And this raises a question that many fans continue to wrestle with. Where does real love end and reality TV begin? Was Amy's relationship with Chris always genuine, or was it shaped, and perhaps fractured, by the pressure of living under the spotlight? It's a blurry line, and one that leaves viewers wondering just how much of what we've seen was truth, and how much was performance for the cameras. As we look ahead, fans can't help but ask, what comes next for Amy? Will she find the peace and stability she deserves, or is there another twist waiting just around the corner? One thing is certain, Amy Roloff's story is far from over. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time. What if everything Amy Roloff believed about her second chance at love was shattered in a single moment? For years, fans of Little People, Big World have rooted for Amy as she picked herself up after the painful collapse of her decades-long marriage to Matt Roloff. Her journey wasn't easy. It was filled with heartbreak, self-doubt, and the fear of starting over in front of the world. And then came Chris Marek. Their relationship seemed like the fresh chapter Amy had been waiting for, a love built on laughter, companionship, and the promise of stability after years of turmoil. Their wedding was beautiful, their smiles genuine, and to many fans, it finally felt like Amy had found the happiness she so deeply deserved. But as we've learned time and time again, what the cameras show and what happens behind closed doors aren't always the same. Beneath the Instagram-worthy photos and the heartwarming episodes, cracks began to form. One moment in particular, a single, cutting comment from Chris, changed everything. It was a betrayal so sharp that Amy herself would later call it unforgivable. Tonight, we peel back the curtain on the betrayal that broke Amy. We'll look at what Chris said, why it struck such a painful chord, and how this shocking moment could alter not just Amy's marriage, but the entire Roloff family dynamic moving forward. Amy Roloff's journey has always been raw, emotional, and deeply human. From the heartbreak of her split with Matt to the hope and excitement of her new chapter with Chris, fans have stood by her side, cheering her on through every twist and turn. But love is rarely simple, and sometimes, even the people we trust most can hurt us in ways that feel impossible to forgive. This moment of betrayal raises tough questions. Will it mark the end of Amy's story with Chris, or is it simply another chapter in her complex, ever-evolving journey? Only time will reveal the answer. For now, we reflect on the resilience, vulnerability, and courage that define Amy Roloff, reminding us all that even in heartbreak, there is strength and hope. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.